It must always be remembered that Lovecraft was, above all else, a scientific rationalist. His tales appear to put on stage a bewildering array of outlandish monsters, and the flamboyance of his prose may seem the work of an eccentric. But Lovecraft, as his letters attest, was a materialist and atheist who had the highest respect for scientific fact and who saw nothing but pitiable folly in the delusions of religion, spiritualism, and occultism. As for his prose style, once the chief point of controversy among those who refused to acknowledge Lovecraft's greatness, it was quite clearly chosen with deliberation to create the maximum emotive impact and to harmonize with the ultra conceptions filling his tales. As his career progressed, Lovecraft reined in some of its floridity so that his prose became an almost mathematically precise tool in conveying the fusion of horror and science fiction that typified his later work. The history of Lovecraft's reputation, his initial rejection by Edmund Wilson and others as a pulp hack, the championing of his work by Derleth, Fritz Leiber, and George T. Wetzel, the revolution in scholarship as a result of the work of such critics as Dirk W. Mosig and Donald R. Burleson, and his final acceptance as a canonical author with the publication of his work in Penguin Classics in the Library of America, would make an interesting chapter in the evolution of literary taste. Lovecraft remains unique in being simultaneously a figure commanding respect among highbrow critics and a significant figure in popular culture, the source of films, role-playing games, and other media adaptations. This singular diversity and Lovecraft's appeal augurs well for his endurance as an influential figure in the 21st century and beyond. S.T. Joshi. S.T. Joshi is the world's leading authority on H.P. Lovecraft and has written the definitive biography H.P. Lovecraft, A Life, 1996, as well as H.P. Lovecraft and the Decline of the West, 1990. His scholarly studies of supernatural fiction include The Weird Tale, 1990, The Modern Weird Tale, 2001, and critical studies of Lord Dunsany and Ramsey Campbell. He has written, edited, or translated more than 100 books, including Mencken's America, A Much Misunderstood Man, Selected Letters of Ambrose Bierce, Documents of American Prejudice, and Supernatural Literature of the World, an encyclopedia. Well, finally, I get to the first Lovecraft story in the book. He wrote this when he was 15. The Beast in the Cave. Lovecraft wrote the first draft of this story sometime before the spring of 1904 and completed the final draft on April 21st, 1905. He had no first-hand experience of caves, so he spent several days at the Providence Public Library boning up on the story's locale, Mammoth Cave in Kentucky. For the work of someone not yet 15 years old, the tale is surprisingly effective. In later years, however, Lovecraft would tone down some of the typographical eccentricities found toward the end of the narrative. On the manuscript, he has indicated that it forms part of the volume Tales of Terror, period, modern. It was first published in The Vagrant, June 1918. Alright, here's some actual H.P. Lovecraft. Takes a while to get to. The horrible conclusion which had been gradually obtruding itself upon my confused and reluctant mind was now an awful certainty. I was lost, completely, hopelessly lost in the vast and labyrinthine recesses of the Mammoth Cave. Turn as I might, in no direction could my straining vision seize on any object capable of serving as a guidepost to set me on the outward path, that nevermore should I behold the blessed light of day, or scan the pleasant hills and dales of the beautiful world outside. My reason could no longer entertain the slightest unbelief. Hope had departed. Yet, indoctrinated as I was by a life of philosophical study, I derived no small measure of satisfaction from my unimpassioned demeanor. For although I had frequently read of the wild frenzies into which were thrown the victims of similar situations, I experienced none of these, but stood quiet as soon as I clearly realized the loss of my bearings.